Well, disagreements between Jacob Zuma's lawyers and the State Capture Commission's evidence leader, Advocate Paul Pretorius, dominated the former president's testimony yesterday. The two parties have been given until today to sort out their differences. To unpack all of this, I earlier spoke to constitutional law expert Professor Pierre de Vos.
One rule which Advocate Sigakani spoke about says that if you're going to be implicated person, then you can apply to the commission to have those people who implicated you cross-examine. Right. There are certain requirements. You have to give your version and so on. President Zuma has decided not to do them. The other provisions say that the evidence leaders, Advocate Pretorius and so on, they can examine any witness, and they can also probe the witness to see if the evidence given by the witness is truthful or not. Whether you call that cross-examination or not, I don't know, but there's clearly a rule that says you can ask questions to make sure that the witness is speaking the truth.
So you are basically saying if the evidence leaders failed adequately to probe a witness to help the commission, I guess, to assess the truthfulness of the statements made by that witness, then they would be, in fact, be acting unfairly.
Yes, because you see what is going to happen in the end. There are two versions. There's the version of those people implicating Mr. Zuma, and there's Mr. Zuma's version.
Right.
The commission will have to decide which version is more truthful. They will be better able to do that, and they will give Mr. Zuma a better chance of having his version prevail if they get him to actually answer the questions in detail. So it's actually helping Mr. Zuma, assuming that he's the one speaking the truth, to get him to engage in the detail of the matter.
Yeah. But this is the thing, Professor. Mr. Zuma's legal team said if they want to cross-examine the client, then he must be given an opportunity to, I guess, reflect on these issues. Fair point?
Well, yes, of course, he must be given the opportunity. He must be prepared. So you can't examine somebody about something that he doesn't know is going to be examined about. So in this case, it's about him being implicated. What happened in this case is, of course, like with every other witness implicated, they were given notice and they were sent the documents from those implicating them in which they are implicated. So there's a lot of communication already. Whether that is sufficient, that is for the commission or for the courts to decide. But it looks to me personally that is sufficient.
Yeah. Professor, help us understand this. I mean, Mr. Zuma's lawyers are calling this a cross-examination. Do you agree, or would you say this kind of line of questioning is an examination aimed at testing the evidence?
I think the distinction between the cross-examination and an examination is a little bit of a distinction without a difference. Remember, this is not a court of law. It's not a criminal court. It is an inquisitorial fact-finding situation in which the commission has a duty to try and get to the truth. And so it can examine witnesses. So is that cross-examination? I don't know. I think I don't know if that distinction is really relevant in this case because it's not a criminal case. Yeah.
Look, you make a very interesting point. You say this is an inquisitorial process as opposed to an adversarial system, I guess. Help us understand these both systems, because my understanding is that, and I think you wrote a piece for the Daily Maverick, and you said the adversarial system is where the role of the adjudicator is primarily that of an impartial referee between the prosecution and the defense. But after that decision was taken, where the two teams met in chambers, wasn't the Deputy Chief Justice acting like an impartial referee, stepping in when he thought it wasn't unfair or fair?
Yes, so of course, just because there's an inquisitorial system doesn't mean that the person deciding the matter shouldn't be fair. So the commission, the chairperson has a duty to be fair, but the commission itself is not just sitting there passively waiting for people to bring evidence. It goes out and tries to find what the truth is. And so in that sense, it's not impartial because it's not just weighing up evidence, bringing from two sides. It actively tries to get to the truth. It must do so fairly, but it can do so itself. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to rely either on Mr. Zuma or somebody else.